Well, the atmospheric river prompted evacuation orders in parts of Santa Cruz County for people near the San Lorenzo River. Those orders were lifted in the last couple of hours, and our Len Ramirez has been talking to people who moved to higher ground. He's live in Scotts Valley. Hey, Len.
Hey there. Significant amounts of rain have been falling here throughout Santa Cruz County all day. You'll have a little bit of drying out, and then bam, another round comes in. Very heavy, very hard to drive through, very hard to deal with because all of that rain eventually funnels down into the San Lorenzo River. And that river has become quite dangerous. Holly Hoff came out to see for herself what the whole town of Boulder Creek was talking about, how quickly the San Lorenzo River was rising.
It is impressive, a lot of water, very fast.
For most of the past year, she says you could practically tiptoe across the river.
Normally I come down here when the water's really low, people are fishing, and I've even seen kids swimming and stuff in here, but I've never seen it raised this high before.
But it's not just something impressive to look at, it could be dangerous for people who live in low-lying communities like Felton Grove. This morning, Santa Cruz County Sheriff's deputies posted notices of potential flooding from the San Lorenzo. They also went door to door warning residents to get out. They didn't have to warn Jillian and Coleman twice.
This is our first winter in the neighborhood, so we're better to be safe than sorry.
That's right before it comes in the garage. You just never know when it's going to stop, you know?
Eric Burkhofer knows all too well what can happen. Although most of the homes in the community were built on stilts, the water can inundate cars and isolate people for days. He took these pictures 2 years ago when swiftwater rescue teams had to evacuate people by boat.
When it's time to go, it's time to go.
That's why he had no problem with hopping into his pickup to drive to higher ground. Now, some people did evacuate, as you saw, but others stayed behind. I spoke to an elderly gentleman who's living in his house with his wife, and they did not want to leave their house because they're afraid of looters. Ryan, that is a very distinct possibility when things like this happen. People don't want to leave their belongings behind because of what could happen, but they do face danger, as you saw in those pictures, from potential being stuck and having to be rescued by the swiftwater rescue people. So a very mixed bag of what people are doing out there in Felton Grove. But as you heard earlier, that evacuation order has now been lifted. All right. Len Ramirez reporting live in Scotts Valley. Thank you very much. Well, mudslides also a problem in Santa Cruz County. CHP shared these photos of large rocks that fell right on the Soquel San Jose Road earlier this morning, and the North Bay also getting slammed. Here's a look at the heavy downpours and the gusty winds overnight as that storm moved right through Santa Rosa. A lot of ponding on the roads up there. Similar issues in the East Bay, like here in Dublin, where the flooding forced the CHP to shut down southbound 680 and westbound 580 for a few hours earlier this morning. It cleared and all lanes have opened, or they were open by noon. Our Kara St. Cyr, though, in the meantime, is live in Oakland, where she's been busy tracking down some of those big trouble spots. Hey, Kara.
Hey, Ryan. So I want to say that the rain, well, there's definitely been some flood risks that are in the area, but from talking to officials in Oakland today, they say that it's not so much the rain they're worried about, it's the wind. So I'm right here, I'm standing on an overpass in Oakland, and you can really see those wind gusts hitting some of those trees coming in this direction. And they're worried that these trees may get hit so hard they'll knock over power lines. That is one of the main concerns, and they're keeping an eye out on that all night.
That's where the houses are in danger.
Peter Van Noosting is no stranger to the extremes of Mother Nature. Large mudslides devastated parts of his hillside neighborhood in San Leandro 2 years ago. Any hint of rain is a reminder of what was and what could be.
I mean, we're always worried about things like mudslides or earthquakes. We had an earthquake today, and you just don't know. You don't know what's the thing that's going to sort of trigger something like this.
Public Works refreshed the tarp ahead of today's weather, but Van Noosting says he can still see evidence of the slide's slow movement. He said today's weather isn't helping.
This seam was together, and now it's pulling apart. This is just getting kind of wider and wider. And So everything is kind of sliding downhill.
Overly saturated grounds and flooding are a concern for neighborhoods like Van Oostings that battle the rain every season. San Leandro Mayor Juan Gonzalez says the city is keeping a close eye on trouble spots like these during Thursday's storm.
We monitor for movement of the soil and also the movement of the tarping, because we want to make sure that to the extent that more rain, more water can get in there, that we're covering it up quickly.
While the rain is tapering off, the Oakland Fire Department is still concerned about the wind. It's already caused moderate damage. Heavy gusts brought this large tree crashing down on the street, blocking oncoming traffic near Skyline. Brian Oftedal, a fire captain for Oakland Fire Department, says aged trees specifically are causing headaches.
We were first alerted to this incident by a passerby that suggested a vehicle almost got struck. We had the same type of incident last week with a Monterey pine, one of these 40-foot trees that are at the end of their life, and they're starting to drop, especially with the wet weather coming through.
Trees also create debris that can lead to flooding in low-lying areas, like this one at Shepherd Canyon Road in Oakland. Public Works officials are pushing debris out of this gulch to contain the overflow. Oftedal says drivers need to be vigilant of low-lying and wooded areas.
Keep an eye on them very closely, have a go bag ready. We're concerned about power lines coming down as well, so be very cautious while you're out and about today.
Van Oosting says his fingers are crossed that this is the last atmospheric river to hit the area for a while.
All right, so for the people that have to travel tonight, just be mindful, especially in wooded areas, because like the fireman said, these trees, they're being blown very heavily by this wind and they could come down, so just be careful. Back to you.
All right, Kara, good advice there. If you take a live look at the current PG&E outage map, you can see a lot of spots right now without power. Within the last few minutes, we got word of an outage in Union City impacting more than 5,000 customers.